Hi, this is Fredrik Karen, the Creativity Explorer, and today we're going to speak about Seize the Supply. I could have called this episode What Buying an Island Can Teach Us About Creativity. So let's talk about what is this island I'm talking about. Well, you see, I own this amazing piece of land, this amazing tiny little island outside Stockholm, and I bought it 20 years ago, and it might just be the best thing I've ever bought for money. We live there except for this year. Unfortunately, the corona crisis has made us not go there this summer, but every year for 20 years we live on this island, me and my family, for about 2 months per year. It's paradise on earth. It's my Eden. It's just wonderful. But I'm not here to talk about how it is to have this island. I'm here to talk about how I bought it. And that brings us to the lesson. Seize the supply. You see, before we go on, maybe I should say there's some people here like, oh, what? You have your own island? That must cost millions and millions of dollars. Actually, no. There are 200,000 islands in Sweden. 200,000 islands in Sweden. If you want to have a private island, you should go to Sweden and buy one. They are quite reasonable. And actually, there's a tiny one a little bit further away from Stockholm, so therefore more reasonable. But it's 20,000 US dollars. I'll link to it. If you're interested, you can buy one quite reasonably right now. So I want to talk about how I bought it. You see, traditionally in Sweden, everyone who wants to buy an island or sell an island do that in the summer because, well, obviously, an island is much more wonderful to own in the summer than it in the winter when it's cold and ice and windy and dark. So traditionally, if you sell an island, you sell it in the summer, so the supply of islands goes up, but also the demand of islands goes up. But I didn't buy my island in the summer. I seized the supply. You see, I bought my island in November. I had this idea, I want to have my own island, and I had it in November. Most people would say, okay, we'll wait till summer and then we'll look if we can find one to buy. But I looked for islands in November when it was dark and cold and icy and snowy. And who on earth sells an island in November? Well, there was this one guy, and he didn't live in Sweden because he hated Swedish taxes. And every year we used to pay property tax at the end of the year. And he got this bill from the government, and he said, no way, I'm not going to pay tax for this stupid island one more year. I'm just going to sell it, because he didn't want to pay a few thousand euros in property tax. So he put it up for sale, and no one was interested. No one looked for it. No one had a boat in the water. No one could see it. And most importantly, anyone who was interested in buying islands were not looking for islands. So the supply of islands, of course, was very small, but there was one. But the demand for islands was zero. So I was the only one who went out and looked at it. We had to rent a boat. I went out with a property agent, and he didn't want to go out in the dark, cold winter night of Sweden. So on the way back, after showing me the island, this was not my agent, this was the agent of the guy selling. But the property agent told me how far below asking price he thought the owner would agree to sell on. And he bargained it down for me. He didn't want to go out, but he just wanted to get rid of the island and sell some nice apartment in the city. So I bought this island for maybe 1/3 of market price, and if this guy only would have waited another 6 months to sell it, he would have gotten 3 times as much for it. But he didn't want to pay the property tax, and therefore he just wanted to get rid of the island. Seize the supply. That is what I did, and got me a great bargain, more importantly, on an almost once in a lifetime property that no one else got to buy. And I just recently got the idea to do this video because I just saw an episode on World Economic Forum about this company, Energy Vault, that uses the same idea. They use the energy when there's a huge supply of energy. The idea here is to build a tower and use the cheap electricity when there's a high demand of renewable energy, like during the day when we have a lot of solar or when it's windy, and use that surplus energy to use an automatic crane to pull up these huge concrete blocks on top of each other to create this huge tower. And then in the night, when there is no sun or there is no wind, now the same engine drops the concrete floors to the bottom and creates energy again. It's like a huge battery, but using the supply and demand to create efficient energy supply. And that is a perfect example of seizing the supply, a wonderful way of getting rid of the huge bottleneck that is that we only have solar in the day or we only have wind when it's windy. Perfect example. So we can use it for renewable energy, or we can use it, in my case, to get a private island for a much lower price. Now the lesson for you, of course, is What is it that you want? And can you get it when the demand is down? Seize the supply. That is a lesson today from Frederick Herron, the Creativity Explorer. Now go out there and discover your full creative potential.